Hello. Due to some technical problem, I have to finish the earlier video over there. Okay. So continuing from there, from B minus A, the change in field strength is V square by dc, V square by 2 dc plus CV dV if you do V minus A. So now obeying the law of conservation of energy, the electrical input energy that is expressed in two parts. So the input electrical energy that is expensed into two parts. One part is going to increase the stored energy and the other part do some mechanical work. And you know that the energy conversion cannot be 100%. Something has to be done, work done. That is perpetual motion machine. You know it from the elementary thermodynamics. I am not going into that detail. So electrical input energy, one part is going to increase the stored energy, and the other part is doing some mechanical work. So now electrical input energy, that is what from the previous slide we got it. There is your V square by V square dc plus CV dV. You know it. Okay. So V square dc plus CV dV, that is input electrical energy, equal to increase in stored energy, that is B minus A, equation giving you. And lastly, the mechanical work done, that is work done is what? Force into displacement. So for small displacement of dx, a force is acting F, so that is F dx. So input electrical energy equal to increase in stored energy plus mechanical work done. From there, by simplifying this expression, we got that the expression for force is F equal to half V square dc dx. Now in case of angular displacement, in case of force, we will be writing as deflection torque here also. Control spring, this is for the previous one was about to your, the previous slide was about your linear displacement. Now for angular displacement, the basic thing remains same. The control spring is there, one plate is moving, this one, and the other plate is fixed. So if both the plates are charged, so fixed plate will remain fixed, and depending on the nature of charge, the moving plate will be deflected. Okay. And for that case, instead of force, we will be writing torque. So Td equal to V square by 2 dc dx. In case of linear displacement, we will be writing angular displacement. So in case of dx, it will be d theta. So the torque equation becomes Td V square by 2 dc d theta. That is the expression for deflecting torque. And the instrument is spring controlled. Here you can easily see it. And so it is at equilibrium Tc equal to Td, or k theta equal to this V square by 2 dc d theta, or theta equal to V square by 2k dc d theta. Or in other words, theta is proportional to V square if the other things remain constant. Now types of electrostatic instruments, if we classify them, there are broadly two types. One is quadrant type electrostatic instrument, and the other one is attracted disk type electrostatic instruments. Whereas the quadrant type instrument can be used up to 20 kV, when the attracted disk type can be work beyond that value. Okay. Now for quadrant type connection, there are two connections possible. One is heterostatic connection and the other one is idiostatic connection. We will be seeing them briefly. In quadrant type connection, four fixed metal double quadrants are arranged in order to form a shallow circular box with a shorter air gap. A double-ended vane is suspended by a fine phosphor bronze wire to provide the controlling torque and enable vanes to be charged. Oil dashpot based damping is provided. So here I would like to mention one thing, either air friction damping or fluid friction damping. Oil dashpot is there, so fluid friction damping can be used, either of these two, air friction or fluid friction. This is the diagram for heterostatic connection. Here you can see it is heterostatic quadrant type heterostatic connection. So quadrants are, quadrant means what? Four parts. Here you can see 1, 2, 3 and 4. So quadrants are connected together in diagonally opposite pairs. Okay. When is charged at higher potential, that is going to be measured. Now the deflecting torque will be equal to This is the expression for deflecting torque. You need not to derive it. The final expression will do for you. Here one thing you will need to know, r is the radius of vane, and d is the distance of vane from either quadrants. And here in this case this V1 is much greater than VA plus VB, and in that case this will be the working expression for deflection torque. Second is idiostatic connection. Here the needle or moving vane is directly connected to one pair of quadrants. Okay, here the moving vane you can see. Okay, the left side is positively charged and the other side, I mean to say the right side, is negatively charged along with the movable sector. Here the left side is positively charged, the right side is negatively charged, and diagonally opposite the same quadrant, so it is positively charged, it is negatively charged. Okay, now the working expression for this case, idiostatic connection, the deflecting torque is Td equal to minus epsilon naught r square by d Va minus Vb whole square. Okay, you know what is epsilon, r, d, everything is already discussed. But this, what is this symbol of this negative sign? This is showing that the needle is moving in the counterclockwise direction. If it was moving in the clockwise direction, then the negative sign would not appear in the expression. Okay, and from this expression you can see that the deflecting torque is proportional to V square, wherein in this previous case there was V1 into V1 VA minus plus V2. So in that case the deflection was proportional to voltage, but here in this case the deflection is proportional to square of the voltage, and that's why mainly this idiostatic connection is used for the measurement of AC. The other part, so already we have discussed that electrostatic instrument, there are two parts, quadrant and attracted disc. Quadrant are two connection, heterostatic, idiostatic, we have discussed them. Now the second category of electrostatic instrument, that is attracted disc type voltmeter. So there are two parallel discs mounted here. You can see one disc is fixed, another one is moving, and the moving element is supported by a Koch spring that you can see, and a guard ring is used to reduce, this guard ring is used to reduce the fringing. You know what is fringing? To avoid the magnetic leakage, flux leakage. Okay, this micrometer head is provided to adjust for the calibration with different weights. This is the expression for the voltage. Mainly remember one thing, already in the introduction of this type of instruments I have told you that mainly these are used as voltmeter, so that's why we are talking about the voltmeter. Okay, and the heading also is attracted disc type voltmeter. So the expression for voltage is this one, and this instrument gives absolute determination of potential difference. Next we will be going through the merits of electrostatic instruments. So current drawn from supply and hence power consumption for such instruments are negligible. It can be used universally, AC and DC both. No frequency and waveform error is observed in such instruments. This can be used up to high frequencies with a good accuracy. Hysteresis and eddy current error is minimum in such devices. Effect of stray magnetic field is eliminated in electrostatic type instruments. These types of instruments are very suitable for measuring very high voltages. Demerits of electrostatic instruments. These instruments are very expensive, obviously, larger in size, and that's why not robust in construction. The operating force is small, and this type of instruments cannot be used to measure small potential difference, as larger potential difference already during heterostatic connection V1 is much greater than Va plus V2, that's Va plus Vb. The significance is that larger potential difference is required to create appreciable deflecting torque in such instruments. In other words, the resolution is very low, and that's why for small voltage applications it cannot be used. It does not give you the accurate result. Next category is induction type instruments. As the name implies, you know that these type of instruments are used only in AC, and although the ammeter voltmeter can be constructed using induction type instruments, they found widest application as watt hour meter or energy meter. In these instruments, the deflection torque is created by the interaction between flux of an AC electromagnet and the eddy current induced by the other flux. So this, with the help of this diagram, we will be try to explain the operating principle of induction type instruments. First, I am briefing you the working principle, then what is written and what is the significance, that will be discussed. Here two electromagnets are there, P1 and P2. Now this P and one aluminum disc D is there, and P1 induces a flux phi 1, P2 induces another flux phi 2. Okay, now as a flux is there, when the disc rotates, if the disc is rotating, then what happens? The flux linkage will be changed, and you know when flux linkage is changed, an EMF is induced. So both the fluxes phi 1 and phi 2 induces two different EMFs, E1 and E2. Now when this E1 and E2 induced, the disc is a closed path by itself. It is not a discontinued path, it is a solid disc, so it is a continued path. So when EMF is induced, E1 and E2 with respect to phi 1 and phi 2 respectively, in a closed path, when EMF is there, so a current will be flowing. That is known as eddy current in this case. So that will be I1 and I2. Okay. So now the torque will be created between I1 with phi 2 and I2 with phi 1. I am repeating, the torque is created by phi 1 with I2 and phi 2 with I1. From this diagram here you can see, here F1 has been shown, you can take the force or torque whatever. If the force is developed due to the interaction between I1 and where is I1 is there, here you can see this is the common region. So in this common region, F1 takes place due to phi 1 I2 and F2 takes place due to phi 2 I1. In the later slide it will be evident. Now the torque is created between the interaction of phi 1. What is phi 1? Phi 1 is proportional to this I1. You know what is phi? Phi equal to N into I. You know it, that phi equal to N into I. Now this I1. So phi equal to Ni. Now phi 1 is equal to Ni1, number of turns into current. Now this here in this case it is a current. In any other case it may be a voltage. Here it may be a voltage. So depending on that, if one is current, another is voltage, so it will be a wattmeter. If both of them are current, it will be a ammeter. If both are voltage, it will be a voltmeter. Excuse me. So the interaction between phi 1 and eddy current induced by phi 2, that is I2. Again, this phi 2 is a function of another voltage or current. Okay. So a thin aluminum disc D, already I have told you. So when P1 creates a flux phi 1, it induces EMF E1 in this disc, and this EMF induces eddy current in the closed path of the disc, induces a eddy current I1. Similarly, I2 is also created. So F1 is obtained by phi 1 I2. So taking a proportionality constant K phi 1 I2, and F2 is K phi 2 I1. Already I have told you. Now that you see the direction of F1 and F2 are opposite to each other, so effective force F will be F1 minus F2. So now Ti, let Ti be the instantaneous torque, and effective radius through which these forces act, let it be R. You know that torque, what is torque? Force into distance, and that distance be R. So distance or radius, whatever you say. So instantaneous torque is force into R. I mean to say F into R. And what is F? F is F1 minus F2. What is F1? F1 is K phi 1 I2. F2 is K phi 2 I1. So that is your F. So F into R, that is your torque. And now if phi 1 is phi 1m sin omega t, if the fluxes are, you know that phi 1 is created by P1 and phi 2 is created by P2. So two different electromagnets are creating these two fluxes. If I assume that these two fluxes are different, then let phi 1 is phi 1m sin omega t and phi 2 is phi 2m sin omega t minus alpha. So E1 is ddt of phi 1, and this is the expression phi omega phi 1m cos omega t, and E2 is this one, omega phi 2m cos omega t minus alpha. And so E1 will be what? E1 by R. This is your E1 divided by R, and similarly we get I2. So what is torque? You put it here, R into K into, you put the value of phi 1, what is phi 1m sin omega t, into I2. I2 is this whole thing, minus K into phi 2, means phi 2m sin omega t minus alpha. I1 is this one. You put it over here and simplify, because K is constant, omega is constant, R is constant, capital R is constant. So taking them away, we can get this expression T equal to K omega R by R, phi 1m sin omega t sin omega t phi 2m cos omega t minus alpha minus phi 2m sin omega t minus alpha into phi 1m cos omega t. So here the format is again from here, phi 1m phi 2m is common to both the terms, so we can take them away again. So it will be sin omega t cos omega t minus alpha minus sin omega t minus alpha cos omega t. So it is a format of sin a cos b minus cos a sin b. So simplifying that, I think I will request all of you to practice it by your own hand, so that finally you got the expression like this: Ti equal to K omega R by R, phi 1m phi 2m sin alpha. Now when fluxes are cophasal, the fluxes are in the same phase, so alpha will be equal to 0 and the torque is 0. So that's why same flux cannot create any torque. Okay, that's why two electron, here also in the diagram you can see that the electromagnets having different current, one is I1, another is I2. If I1 and I2 were same, then the no torque would have been developed. But in the expression also you can see, if alpha is 90 degree, then the maximum torque that can be obtained, that will be K omega R by capital R phi 1m phi 2m. Okay, and this is achieved by connecting a suitable high inductance and resistance. Here, if in one electromagnet you are connecting a high resistance, in another electromagnet you are connecting a high inductance, and as a whole you know that there is a phase lag in inductor and cophasal in resistor. So that's why overall in between phi 1 and phi 2 we are creating a 90 degree phase lag. So both the fluxes will not be cophasal at all, they will lag or lead each other by 90 degree by this type of connection. One electromagnet is highly resistive, the other electromagnet is highly inductive, and then we can achieve the maximum torque from an induction type instrument. And in such cases the torque, deflection torque, becomes K omega R by capital R I1 I2. And if this I1 and I2 are connected in series, here that is not the connection, because here I1 and I2 are different. If I1 and I2 are connected in series with this special arrangement of R and L, then you can see that I1 equal to I2 will be there, and hence deflection torque will be proportional to the current. So TD proportional to I square, and you know that DC for AC system I square or V square should be there. Okay. Merits of induction type instruments. A full scale deflection of about 300 degree can be obtained giving long and open scale. The effect of stray magnetic field is small. Damping is easier and effective by using a permanent magnet. Demerits of induction type instrument. Greater deflection causes more stress on control springs. Variation in supply frequency and temperature may cause serious errors unless compensating devices are employed. These instruments are costlier and consume more power as compared to other instruments.